Hey guys, it's Shiyin here. Now today's video is gonna be fully in English because I really want this video to reach a greater audience, but don't worry, there will be Chinese subtitles from beginning to end. Now you guys might have noticed I haven't really made any Hanfu related content for almost half a year now, and this is mainly due to the small controversy back in March, but at the time it was pretty hurtful and really made me quite disappointed. However, today I am putting aside all of that drama and breaking my silence because I really think there is something more important that I want to talk about. Now, over the past few days, there's been a challenge circling around on Twitter called the #Korean Hanbok challenge. It started when a Korean artist called Angie Kim posted a few of his sketches of hanbok and posted it on Twitter with this hashtag. In the first photo, we can see that this bluish-looking attire looks exactly the same as a yuanlingpao or round-collared robe from the Ming Dynasty. And judging by the pattern, it was probably some sort of clothing worn by court officials during that era. And this really shouldn't have been that big of an issue because, as we know, ancient China was really influential. It influenced a lot of its bordering nations in areas such as culture, food, architecture, clothing, etc. So it's completely normal for the hanbok to resemble Hanfu in many areas. But what really made me go like, excuse me, was when other Korean netizens started commenting saying that it was actually Ming Dynasty Hanfu that copied Korean hanbok and that we Hanfu enthusiasts are the ones trying to distort history. And what's even more ridiculous is this comment, which reads, "Chinese history has been under the influence of Korea since ancient times. Ancient China was a local government in Korea. Don't distort history, China." Wow, how ridiculous. And I'm making this video with zero intent to cause any harsh feelings or start any type of internet feud between the two nations, because I also have a lot of Korean friends who are really nice, really understanding, and it would not be in my best interest to try and attack them. But to the people commenting under that tweet, I just want to say, like, come on guys, have some respect for actual history. Saying that, ancient China was a local government in Korea is almost as ridiculous as saying like Britain was a colony of Canada. That's how absurd it is. Now let me tell you what actual history looks like. Joseon, or Gu Chaoxian, was an ancient kingdom in the Korean peninsula. It was first mentioned in Chinese texts in the year 700 BC. That's right, even the first mention of the Korean peninsula existed in Chinese texts. Sources relate that in the 12th century BC, Jizi, a Chinese nobleman belonging to the royal family of the Shang dynasty, immigrated to the Korean peninsula and founded Gija Joseon, or Jishi Chaoxian. And here I'm gonna cite the second edition of the History of Korea written by Kim Jung-kil in 2014, in case anyone tries to argue that I'm the one making things up and that Chinese editions are the ones trying to distort history. So as we can see, as far back as the 12th century, the Korean peninsula was already under Chinese influence. Now let's talk about the relationship between Hanbok and Hanfu. Now, as far back as the North-South States period, which existed around the same time as the Tang Dynasty in China, much of the Korean peninsula had already adopted the round collar style of clothing, which they called guanbok, to be used as a formal attire worn by court officials. During the Ming Dynasty, China shared a very close trade and diplomatic relationship with the Joseon Dynasty. Both had just emerged from Mongolian rule and both share Confucian values as the basis for their society. In fact, the Ming Emperor even sent over 200,000 troops to aid the Joseon Dynasty when Hideyushi's troops from Japan tried to attack the Korean peninsula. As such, it would have been very common for the Joseon Dynasty to send officials over to the Ming court to reside and work in order to maintain this sort of relationship. Now, as we can see in this comparison photo, the dragon robe worn by King Taizhou of Joseon basically looks exactly the same, with the exception of color maybe, to the one worn by Ming Taizu of China. And here I cite the study of Danryong structure by Li Taeok and Cho Woo-hyung in 2003. Now let's see a side-by-side comparison of the clothing worn by Joseon court officials versus the clothing worn by Ming court officials. Again, with a minor exception in color and pattern, basically exactly the same thing. Now, apart from influencing clothing, China actually also influenced the hairstyles worn by both men and women during that era. Here is a photo of a common hairstyle popular amongst women during the Joseon Dynasty. But in fact, this type of hairstyle already existed 500 years ago in the Tang Dynasty in China. And here we have another depiction of the clothing worn by court officials during the Joseon Dynasty. Notice that the hat worn by the male looks very similar to historical depictions of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the founder of the Qin dynasty. So what I'm trying to say is, basically there's no denying that Hanbok was already under the influence of Hanfu since very, very early ages. And now as we near the end of this video, I emphasize again that I'm not trying to start an internet feud between the two nations. I am simply asking that the small proportion of Korean netizens who are trying to distort Hanfu into a copycat byproduct of the Hanbok to please stop and have some respect. It's very common for cultures to influence each other, especially in the case of China and Korea when the two nations are located so close geographically. And really, there's no shame to admitting that your clothing was influenced by another culture. There's nothing wrong with it. For example, Americans wouldn't try to claim that French fries were their own invention when obviously it is an export of Europe. And even though I am saying 100% truth in this video and have facts to back me up, I know that when this video drops, there will be some controversy. And by all means, I welcome discussion, but please be respectful to each other. Anyone in my comment section that starts attacking each other or calling each other names, being disrespectful, you will be blacklisted. So that is all I have to say for today. I kind of made this video in a rush because I really just wanted to get all of this out. So if I missed anything, please drop me a comment. And lastly, if you like this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!